RuPaul's Drag Race just wrapped up its 11th season, and it's more popular than ever now. I'm Zach Laws of Gold Derby, and with me is Zaldy. He's the costume designer, winner of 2 consecutive Emmy Awards for his work on this show. And Zaldy, I just got to ask you, I mean, given the number of elaborate costumes that you have to make for this show, is this like a costume designer's dream or worst nightmare?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, and it depends on what the year is like. It's been a very busy year, and but it's always fun. Like even when they throw a whole new drag race show, like UK that we did this year as well. It's just fun. You just figure a way to do it because we started to do this project for fun. I mean, it was the only reason. It's like 12 years ago, or whatever it was, when Ru asked if we would do this again. I was like, of course, let's just do it. And we weren't thinking about awards and or anything. It just is like, it was just about having fun. So yeah, it's fun.
I have to imagine that the pressure must be a little bit greater now, just because you guys have grown so much in popularity over these last few years. I mean, like you mentioned, you started out doing this for fun, and it was just kind of like a little niche thing for a few years now. And all of a sudden, it's this huge phenomenon, and it's winning Emmy Awards, and your viewership has grown. I mean, what do you think of that?
I mean, it's crazy because, again, it's like, a lot has changed since the show has started, just to say social media, it's like changed everything. And given the 12 seasons or 11 seasons, it's like there's been so much change in the way the show's developed, in the way that drag has developed, in the way that the contestants are approaching the show now. I mean, like everyone is really out to compete. And so in a way, it's like it does get more intense and the pressure gets to be a little bit more intense. But I still approach it the same way as always. I'm just trying to figure out, what do I want to see RuPaul wear, this year. That's basically been my approach.
Talk a bit about your connection with RuPaul, because I mean, you've been with RuPaul for many, many years. What is that working relationship like?
I mean, it started, I guess, we were both kind of just club kids in New York City, and I knew who Ru was, but we finally met one night, and we were both kind of working for Suzanne Barsh, who is still Queen of New York, doing parties still, and we were in Japan. And I remember after we had done this one party, Ru just came up to me and my partner at that time, Matthew Anderson, who was doing her hair and makeup, and basically was like, I have this deal going on, like, would you guys help me define my image, and of course, we just said yes, because we love Ru and we're just open to challenges. And it just has been kind of like one of those things where, Ru saw me and saw something that she believed in. I saw Ru and knew Ru, and I believed in everything that Ru was about. And it's still the same kind of values of just sort of like, Ru trusts me, I trust Ru, I'm in for the ride, Ru's in for the ride, and we both get to work and do what we know needs to happen. And it's just really been the same way since. It's how we always operated.
You talk about defining Ru's look, and I think that what's so wonderfully entertaining about this show is watching these queens define their look over the course of a season.
Right.
I mean, it's not just about putting on wigs and makeup and dresses. It's about creating a character, a fully formed individual. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, in the end, what I loved about seeing the evolution of the show was seeing the sort of evolution of what the tasks were for the queens, and like basically what would they be learning from this competition. And it was a while back already when I started to go like, oh wow, this is literally like a finishing school, to be like, if you want to, you might be as amazing a queen as I am, but if you want to be as big as I am, these are the things you need to learn how to do. And I was just watching. I love how like Ru shows them how to like brand themselves, and that's really the key here is like sort of creating not just like you're an amazing queen that can do everything, but you are a name brand that people latch onto, and that it's really proven really successful. If you like the queens like Violet Chachki and Aquaria, and I mean they're huge stars around the world. I mean it's like it's really amazing to see that it has a bigger outreach. Like when you would watch things like before social media, like America's Next Top Model. Like, did anyone really become America's Next Top Model? Not really. But people, drag queens, are becoming huge superstars, and it's just amazing. I talked to some of the contestants from this season, and they're like, I'm booked all the way through next year. Which is incredible. Like they have real careers.
Yeah, no, I mean, these queens have got staying power. I mean, you remember them from many seasons ago. I mean, they just really do have this kind of, they are a force to be reckoned with,
Yeah, and it's gone outside of just like niche, curious, like that's a drag queen, that's an amazing drag queen. It is become like, that is that drag queen, that is their personality. And I love what this queen does. It's like, that's, I think, been the big evolution.
So how do you, as a costume designer, help facilitate that journey?
I mean, as a costume designer, it's like I just, I worry about myself and what I have to do and what my jobs are. So for me, Ru is not a contestant. Ru is the host, the being, the queen, the mother of this whole show. And it's like, so for me, I'm just I do what my part is, which is to dress the queen, and like however that trickles down as far as a moment, that's what I'm working for.
Well, what were your favorite designs for this season?
Gosh, and I've answered this question so many times. And
well, not just about.
But I never am, and it's like I don't know if it's also because the shows really start to meld together, and I'm always like, was that from All Stars, or was that from this year, or was that from last year? But from this season, it was really interesting. There was like a couple things that I like that were a little bit different. I think we started off, I think it was All Star, maybe it was All Stars, or maybe it was Drag Race. But we started off something with like a really big puff sleeved gown for Ru, something that was like a lot of fabric and not very sexy. But it's kind of like Ru just loved it right away. It just was something that we were feeling at that moment. And I think that those are some of the, like the classic image of Ru is the big blonde hair, the long gown. But we've sort of like opened the door into like showing legs and making short dresses and like slits. And we're sort of like opening the door a little bit more and sort of breaking away from just that complete iconic image. It's like, I'm just kind of like opening it up a little bit more like we used to.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious because I mean, you mentioned, Ru has so many different moods, and there's all these different kinds of you're like telling a story through your designs every season, and so I guess I just wonder like what sort of sticks out to you about from a almost a narrative standpoint.
I think again, it is that this season there's a lot of change, like from a different sort of silhouette than we're used to, from short dresses being worn, and from even like this sort of like caftan look that I put. Normally it's about let's make Ru's waist be as small, visually small as possible. But I had seen this fabric, didn't have sequins on it, it wasn't glitzy, but there was something about it that I was like, it's gonna tell me what it wants to do. And we sort of made this half caftan where it's not really waisted. You can't really see this tiny little waist. And then it sort of found its place when they did the Black Panther episode. It's just like the perfect outfit for that episode, So I like when that kind of thing works out.
I mentioned that you won 2 Emmys in a row for your work on this show. What did that recognition mean for you personally?
Personally, like I said, it's like, um, we started not thinking about awards, and honestly, just the climate of the world, the LGBT community versus in the straight world. It's like I never really thought this show would be up for like an awards contention. Like it just was never part of it, so we never really thought about it. So obviously, being nominated was a huge deal. Like it just, I know what that means for people, like, but having never thought of it for myself, it's still hard to like to really come to terms with it. Like I most come to terms with it when I'm speaking to members of my family, or very close friends, and to see how much it means to them and what it means to them, it really sort of helps me to like see what the greater value is, other than it just being personal. But personally, these awards are given to you by your peers, and it's really it's very humbling to know that your peers feel this way about you.
Well, I mean, going off of that, it must have been so amazing to, I mean, Rue won 3 years in a row, you won 2 years in a row, and then last year the show won. And I mean, you're now the incumbent, so you're now the big, you're the big dog in the awards race now. I mean, what did that mean for you guys?
It's just furthers, this wheel that keeps rolling and spinning, and it's going uphill, and you still, with everything that's going on, you could still be just as excited as the day you started, and that's just it. It's like it meant the world to us because it meant that everybody that's involved in the show, like everybody, was recognized on that night when the show actually took the award home. It's nice to be singled out for costume or makeup or for whatever, but it's so great when you know that everyone who works so hard on this show to make it the success also gets to share in that reward.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the LGBTQ community's relationship with the broader world. And I mean, serendipitously, we're doing this interview during Pride Month, and so I feel a certain special resonance there as well. Can you just talk about what this show, I guess, means in terms of, because I think one of the great things this show does, and other shows of its kind, is it really does serve as sort of a bridge into that community for the broader world,
Well, definitely, it definitely helps to showcase this community in a really great light. You get to see it's not just frivolousness, you know what I mean? It's like you get to see the emotion, you get to see the human struggles, you get to see the pain that these queens go through. So it's like, if anything, it's sort of like normalize and humanize these sort of characters into like real human beings that anybody can relate to, I mean, and it's like, it's done an incredible job of like showing the, it's like drag, it's not threatening. It's the thing. It's like the majority of queens you'll find out there are very sweet queens. It's just the nature of the thing. It's like, you're meant to like, you want to create this incredible look to show everybody, and for everyone to be like, wow, that's amazing. And you want people to just share in it. It's like and I think that that's really helped people understand that it's like, it used to be like, oh, it's a bitchy queen, but it's not like that. It's like it's like you can see that it's like everyone's just like a sweet person, normal people doing the same old things, and I think it's really helped bridge that gap, for sure.
I mean, it shows, these queens are portrayed as being heroes in this show. I mean,
I literally, I cry during this show. It is just really touching. Like the emotion is real, and it's like, and I think that's a lot of people really relate to it and can really find how that resonates in their own personal lives, and you just fall in love with these feelings, you know, and like, and being taken to this place.
Well, I hope that you guys keep going for another 12, 13 seasons and so forth. I know I always enjoy.
I like doing this, you know, and it's like I said, it's just as exciting, just as inspiring. It's always changing, you know, and so like I'm up for it.
Absolutely. Zaldy, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on
Thank you.
another great season.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks to all of you at home for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below, and make sure you visit us at goldderby.com for all the